Otakon 2026, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Otakon was an anime convention held from July 31st through August 2nd, 2026 at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center in Washington, D.C. Let's see how they did. For the good, the Courtyard was a great place to stay again. It's directly across the street from the Marriott and the Convention Center. Really great hotel, easy to work with, nice prices. Again, if you can't get into the Marriott, the Courtyard was perfectly fine. You just don't have the atrium atmosphere. Otakon badges this year offered several different characters you could pick from. I went with Dark Knight as pictured here. It was a nice change. It reminded me a lot of the old days of Otakon when they had all kinds of different badge artwork available. I thought security went rather well this year at Otakon. If you went into the main convention center, they had these walk-through metal detectors that were very efficient. If you went into the Marriott, you had to get wanded, and that was not as efficient. I'm hoping they can update that for next year. That is where the big bottleneck was this year, the Marriott tunnel. But honestly, the main entrances, it was easy in, easy out this year. And honestly, I think Otakon has security right about where it needs to be. Otakon might have one of the strongest video gaming rooms you could hope to find at a convention. With the recent addition of more retro arcade machines, on top of the existing machines they have in there, including console, sit-down cabinet, Japanese cabinet, they have DDR machines, virtual reality units. Otakon's gaming room is just incredibly impressive. It's great to see industry representation growing at Otakon again. Animego had a good panel. Discotech had their traditional amazing panel with a lot of new license announcements. Trigger, Bones, and Dark Horse all had good industry panels from what I've been told. And it's great to see industry representation starting to come back to Otakon, and I hope to see it keep growing. Artist Alley was the biggest surprise of Otakon 2026. It was better than Dealers, which we'll have to talk about in a minute. Artist Alley probably needs to grow now, and they probably will need to take space away from Dealers and Autographs to make that happen, but it's almost a must at this point. Artist Alley was crowded at almost all times. They need more space. Big surprise coming out of this year. The 18-plus Dealers space was new this year. They moved a lot of the 18-plus sales behind a curtain. You had to have a wristband to get in there, proving you were over 18. And honestly, I thought it worked rather well. This is not an area I usually shop in when I'm at a con, but I thought it was well presented. And with some minor changes they'll need for next year, most likely, maybe shifting the location of this around a little bit, I think this is going to be a big success for Otakon. I think the dealers in there will be happy with the results they probably saw out of this weekend. They fixed the convention merch booth. The only thing left they need for it is some signs showing what merch is for sale. There was very few lines. I was told there was a line to start, but when you were in there later in the day or even earlier in the day on Saturday, there was virtually no line to buy convention merchandise. It seems like they put a lot of effort into fixing this, and it has largely succeeded. Finally, I'd like to congratulate the Idle Space again. They've got this interesting Idle Space performance track that seems to be really, really popular and working out with independent performers coming in and doing various dances, original songs, a lot of stuff like that. And it's now multiple events throughout the weekend in some of the largest rooms of the convention. And it's a nice, different thing this convention offers that seems to be succeeding. For the bad, what was absolutely terrible was for our group, the hotel lottery. It was actually worse than MagFest, and that's really saying something. Now, ironically, the 2025 hotel lottery, we ended up being okay despite a lot of people having problems with that one. Unfortunately, for the 2026 lottery, we only got numbers in the 7,000s, basically meaning all the good close hotels were gone. So essentially what I did was just about every day from August 19th through April 29th, I ended up going into the hotel portal looking for available rooms with double beds. We started out at the Holiday Inn, eventually got to the Hyatt House, which is around January and February, and on April 29th, we ended up getting a Courtyard double, and that was the best we could do. Overall, though, including rooms that only had single beds, it took about 6 to 8 reservation changes to get us to the Courtyard. I am hoping that they have a better solution. I don't know if they do, but this was by far one of the worst hotel lotteries I've ever participated in for a convention. For the ugly, what should have been better? Badge mailing was not smooth this year. Mine was held up at a depot like a lot of other people's was for a considerable amount of time. When mine eventually did show up, the package was oil stained and the badge was slightly bent. Now, the bending of the badge really didn't hurt anything, but the oil stains were definitely a new one on me that I've never seen before. I'd like to see a lot of water stations put up around the convention. I don't know where there were any. There was supposed to be some around the convention. It would have been nice to see more of these with the heat that was going on outside of the convention center. I ended up buying a drink at the convention, even though it was a soda, and that was $7. And I think for what we're paying to get into this convention, there should be some more water stations. Otakon's dealer's room has gone from one of its greatest strengths to one of its greatest weaknesses. Frankly, they did not have the variety of vendors a convention like this should. There was too much 3D printed garbage, too many mystery boxes, and too many of the just stuff that really you don't need as a convention attendee. I saw the same vendors and merchandise you would now see at cons that have 2,000 to 5,000 attendees, and if Otakon cut somewhere around 40% of the vendors out of this room, you probably wouldn't notice the difference. To me, I think Otakon's heading towards having to make some painful decisions. The Artist Alley needs room, and I think sacrificing part of the dealer's room will have to be part of that decision when they eventually make it. Otakon needs to work on their panel room setups. I saw several rooms that needed more powerful speakers and needed more microphones. It affected the panel's viewing experience because you couldn't hear the sound or hear the speakers talking, and really that defeats the point of having a panel. This is something that usually a con should have fixed by now. Otakon needs to take a look at all their panel space. And finally, the Marriott lobby is a hot mess anytime after 9 p.m. I don't quite understand why the Marriott is closing the second floor atrium space, but it's causing the people to go down to the first floor of the Marriott and outside the Marriott, causing major traffic jams. Saw some people that were in rough shape, and honestly, the whole Marriott lobby experience needs to be looked at, and there needs to be an investigation by the con. Why has it turned out like this? Overall, Otakon was a good convention. There are cracks in the armor, though. The hotel lottery needs a lot of work, in my opinion, and the dealer space is a mess right now. They did announce the 2026 attendance figures. There were over 47,000 people, and honestly didn't feel that way. Traffic flow was excellent despite that large attendance number. What's my final grade for this convention? I'm giving Otakon a B. I don't think it was as good as last year, but it was still a good convention. Thanks for watching.